Hello, Dustin here. I figured out something that kind of blew my mind. I figured out a way to use Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop together to take a lot of the guesswork out of one of my illustrations. A little bit of a backstory. My day job has me work with illustrations, and we took on this project to create a large infographic to display on one of our walls. And I was having a hard time visualizing what it would look like once it was actually installed. So I figured out a way to use a linked smart object to create a live preview of what it would look like in the real world. And it just, like I said, it took a lot of the guesswork out of the project, and it kind of blew my mind. So let's head on over to the computer and check it out. Here we are in Adobe Illustrator, a copy of my infographic open. I want to see what this would look like if it were in place on the wall, so I took a photo of the blank wall and brought it into Photoshop. Find your Illustrator file and drag that right onto your canvas. This dialog box will pop up, and defaults should be fine for this project. And just like that, we have made a smart object on our canvas. I can do all the Photoshop stuff, I can add effects, I can edit non-destructively, and that's great. But I need to get a live preview if I make changes and edits to the original Illustrator file. So click on the layer that we just created, and up in the Properties panel, you'll find Convert to Linked Smart Object. When selected, it will ask you to save a copy of the Illustrator file. For the purposes of this video, I will just save it as a test, but you can totally overwrite your original file if you want to. Now we have a linked smart object. In the Properties panel, you can see that it is linked, and here is the file path that it is linked to. Now we can have fun with our project. I'm going to use a simple perspective warp to make it look like it's on the wall. Draw the defining box, hit enter, and then stretch the corners to fit. It always looks really weird as you're going here. We're just going to do a really quick job. That's probably fine. Now there. Now maybe we should add an effect layer to make it look a little bit more like it's actually there. We're going to add a curve layer and brighten up the image a bit, maybe a lot, and then isolate it to the one layer. Now let's play with the mask on that curve layer. We'll invert it to all black by pressing Ctrl I or Option I on the Mac. And then we're just going to brush with white on the mask to create some highlights, kind of making it look like the fluorescent lights are shining on it. Something like that. Okay, what else should we do? How about a blur? Go back to the Layers panel, click on the layer with the Illustrator file, and select your Gaussian blur filter. Maybe you're trying to make some kind of a green screen background or something like that. Okay, that looks good enough for now. Since we made a smart object, all of these effects and filters that we put on can be toggled on and off non-destructively by toggling the visibility in the Layers panel. I'm not done with this project yet. In fact, now that I see it on the wall, I don't really like the color. But that's why we made a linked smart object. Let's go back to that Illustrator file, or if you didn't overwrite it, go to the new one. Let's find something we want to change. Let's see, I'm going to change the color of this center bar. So we select the center bar, change the color, and then save the file. My file was kind of large, so it took some time. Once it's done saving, we can head back over to Photoshop and see what it did. Photoshop notices the change, does its magic, and then applies the changes to that layer, maintaining all the effects and filters that we put on it. Now we have a live preview to see what the art will look like once it's installed. Oh, and one more thing. Let's bring up my original again. I noticed that occasionally the linked smart object actually became unlinked. You can see in the Layers panel and up in the Properties panel these two yellow triangles, indicating that the file is unlinked. But the solution is very easy. Go back to the Properties panel and right-click on that triangle. Then select Update Modified Content. Photoshop will then search for changes and apply them to the layer. Once we got the design finalized, we sent it off to a local shop here to get printed and installed. And it came out exactly like we thought it would. Big thanks to Signs Etc. here in Meridian, Idaho. They did a great job with our infographic and they were wonderful to work with. So I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, this was the simple thing that just made all the difference in this project. Have you had anything similar? Let me know in the comments below if you've ever found a real game changer that helps you out. And if you feel like I did a good job with this video, I ask you to please check out my Patreon page and maybe become a supporter. And I hope to create many more videos like this to help everyone out with the things that I find and maybe highlight some things that you find as well. So, till next time, cheers.